You do not want to wake up in the middle of the night with water dripping down the walls and have no way to fix it. So I generally don't recommend any particular brand type of tool, simply because I think, I've shopped at Harbor Freight, get perfectly reasonable tools out of there, et cetera, and I'm not sponsored by any particular tool brand, hint, hint. But I do want to go over the things that I have found over the last year and a half, almost 2 years, of tools that I have found immensely useful on the road, even including ones that we have picked up because we found them to be more useful, and kind of why I chose what I chose, and kind of how we've been using them on the road to make sure we stay on the road longer. So yeah, I wanted to show you what I bring. I do bring a lot, just to warn you. It actually takes up a good portion of our weight allowance, but I feel like it's let me do things like repair the AC in the middle of nowhere, and we'll go over why I have certain tools and etc. I would like to mention the classes of tools, because in my brain I have this class of tools and they all have specific function to perform. The first class is going to be your general hand tool. So it can be as simple as a kit with sockets and wrenches and things like that, hammers and stuff like that. So you want something that you can actually work within the rig and on the rig itself. Tightening bolts, loosening bolts, screws, maybe a handheld drill with some drill bits to get through. Kind of the general hand tool kind of thing. I have a good number of those I've just built up myself over time. Then you have kind of mission specific kinds of tools. So I have a good number of electrical tools and consumables. In a RV, you have a mix of 120 volt and 12 volt systems. You need tools and things to deal with both. So you have both automotive and residential electrical work that you have to do. Plumbing, being able to repair PEX piping, I think is extremely important. That's actually the biggest problem. Those are some of the biggest problems we have had, is with PEX fittings and plumbing and things like that. And then I also highly recommend making sure you have like consumables that you need for your rig. So that's things like I have extra oil. I have, I have all these sealants that are needed. So if we have a roof leak or something like that, I can quickly repair it. Because you do not want to wake up in the middle of the night with water dripping down the walls and have no way to fix it. That's the approach I took, is if I'm in the middle of nowhere and my roof is leaking and the power is out, what do I do to fix it? So I probably have, I would say, 20% too much tool. That's what she said. So I probably did bring a little bit much. There's some stuff, I'll bring you over. I actually have all the boxes laid out. We'll go through. And some of it I've just gotten as we've gone along the road too. But I feel, especially given the mission we were doing with the RV, you've probably heard us talk about the mission, which was to see the US and figure out where we wanted to settle and be able to travel and basically bring our home with us. That was the mission. That's why we are eventually going back to sticks and bricks, because that was always part of the mission. But I wanted to be able to keep that mission going. And so we needed to be able to keep the rig going for as long as possible without having to rely on somebody else to fix it. Like, I've contacted repairmen. I've tried to have people, even like when the AC went out, I wanted to have somebody just come out and fix it, and just didn't get answers. Like sometimes the best person to fix something is you, because you're already there. So how about I bring you over? I will talk through some of the tools I have and why I have them. Maybe some of the ones I have and probably shouldn't have. And then, and we'll see where we go from there. Okay. So let's go over. All right. So here's my mess. So I have 4 Bauer boxes. So these are from Harbor Freight, and they are because they fit perfectly on the shelf that's in there. And it's a mess. I'm not going to go in there. It's because I just pulled all the toolboxes out, so everything's tipped up. No, so everything is tipped over. But these fit perfectly on the shelf in there. That's why I picked them. I have no dog in any sort of, or I have no horse in any particular brand or make or model of tool or box. So this one tends to be my general box. We'll go over some of the specialty stuff laying on top here in a little bit. So we tend to have wrenches and hacksaws, and you can see it's just kind of thrown in. I've tried to keep it organized, but when you're going down the road and it feels like a 5.0, Richter earthquake the entire time, things just kind of get jumbled up. So sockets and screwdrivers, I have a bit set, hammers and things like that. I even have like staple guns. I have, what is this? Oh, flex tape, flex seal tape, even like oil wrenches and stuff for if I do need to get the oil filter off the rig. Things like that just come in handy for general work on the rig. I also have a nut cert device. That's actually come in handy more than you think it would. It allows you to put machine screws into all sorts of things. But some of the bigger things that I really tend to like. So this guy here, this one I will definitely link out. This is a PEX crimper. So this combined with a full set, different kinds of PEX fittings, which I keep down in here, and I think I got some other ones over here. So it's kind of like the consumables box here. That's allowed us to stay on the road and relatively dry, luckily. So those combined, so I would definitely keep, especially make sure you get the right size, because there are multiple sizes, as I have learned over the time. You can get shark bites. I have several shark bites just to be able to turn the water off, as you can see kind of in here. Shark bites, by the way, are ones that don't need a crimper. You can just slip on. So if you don't want to get the crimper, so if you don't want the crimper and you want to just have something like, I want to be able to cut the pipe. By the way, yeah, get a PEX cutter. You want to be able to cut the pipe and be able to just turn off the water somewhere if you need to. That will work perfectly fine. I also carry a few lengths of PEX as well, so that we can patch pipe if we need to. I do have quite a bit of power tools. I would say I have built several things. If you've seen the kind of the bathroom floor thing, the cover that I did, the table saw and all this kind of came in handy. Do keep a number of bits around for drilling in. Also has come in very, very handy. Having a drill, I think, is absolutely required. Drill bits, things like that. I do have a multimeter. I have not been able to find it. I don't know what I did with it last. Multimeters allow you to diagnose electronics pretty easily. You can read voltages. You'll probably, if you have something wrong with the device, people will probably ask you to read the voltages on something even if you don't know, and one of those is very useful. Speaking of electronics, I carry a full set of heat shrink wire connectors, kind of a marine grade one. I just get these on Amazon. They last a lot better than the kind that come with different kits. This is kind of a weird one. So this is a borescope. It's got a little camera, really cheap one, little USB-C at the end, hooks into my phone, and just lets me see underneath. So see into tight spaces, because RVs have lots of tight spaces. So this is kind of stiff. So this specifically, if you've seen some of our slide videos, we've had a number of problems with our slide, all user error, thankfully, but that certainly allows us to see underneath, make sure nothing's binding up. I can kind of insert it into like where the motors are, and I can make sure nothing's binding up there. Extremely useful little piece of kit. Otherwise, I got all sorts of, I have screw inserts, which have not come in handy. I have extra wire, which has lots of heat shrink for some reason, which I probably don't need. Greases and lubricants and things like that, all extremely useful. But yeah, this is pretty much my kit, and I've been able to do everything from even changing the oil on the rig to some pretty gnarly repairs, as you've probably seen. These. So most people don't know about these for some reason. These are stainless steel zip ties. These have saved us more times than I can count. But specifically, we had a piece of heat shielding get down to its final weld underneath the rig, and we were going through the mountains. I'm just like, what is that noise? And I get under there, and it's just hanging on by a thread. So I was able to actually take these, and it's right by the muffler, so you can't use regular zip ties, they'll melt. So I was able to use these, drill a hole, and insert these, and it's still holding. I actually haven't gotten back under there and reattached it with anything more permanent. So I would highly recommend these. In fact, I'll probably link a version of these. I don't know where I probably got these from Amazon. So we'll link to those. Oh, let's see if there's anything else good in here. Wood glue, random plumbing bits. Got some towing bits in here. Oh, so stuff like this. So these are water-safe hose washers. These are absolutely consumable. The number of times I've just gotten to a campground, turned on the hose, only to find water squirting out from some connection because one of these has degraded. It has been amazing. So we carry a full stack of those. I actually carry a bunch of the one-way valves as well because some states require them. But most campgrounds get the cheap ones and they break, and then I'm kind of left without water connection overnight, which is not fun. But yeah, that is pretty much it. Like I said, it's not fancy. It's probably about 20% too much tool, especially as you get into some of the consumables I bought over the last year and a half. Some of them I'm used to keeping like screws and things. I probably should have just tossed some of these. Probably have too many sockets. But I will say, when you're working on an RV, you're going to need bigger sockets than you think you do. These wheels have bigger lug nuts than you think they do. So make sure that you have what you need in order to get in there. Actually, could you get my keys off the key hook for me?
Sure.
I just thought of one more piece of kit that I did not. So one thing we did, I'll open this and then do a little bit of story time. Oh, it was unlocked. Durr.
Oh, well, yeah.
So down in here, you can kind of see I have a bunch of propane things that we need. Torque wrench. And Justin's like, Justin, why do you need a torque wrench? Because in here I have, and I will link to these because I fully believe in this company, it is a jack that can actually lift our rig, a breaker bar. I believe I have the socket in here as well, and the torque wrench. Because if one of these tires goes, I want to be able to remove it. Funny story, the second month that we had this, we took a trip down to the Gulf Coast and came back, and a month later, we came back and checked the rig, and one of the tires was flat because we had picked up a pinhole. And instead of it being a massive deal, I was able to jack the rig up, get the tire off, went down to a shop 5 minutes down the road, they patched it, and I was able to come back and put it on. Instead of having to drive to a place that had something that could lift this up and patch the tire for us and then wait like 2 hours while they do that. So yeah, that's why I recommend having the tools to do this kind of thing on your own. We also carry a spare tire because of that. Specifically because of that instance happening. It happened so early on in our ownership life cycle of this whole thing that it kind of colored my view of the tires and everything. I know Class C tires are different than trailer tires. Those tend to be much more consumable than the truck tires, but even so, I wanted to make sure I had a spare tire. So that is a really quick tour of everything. You probably saw, if you saw something in there that you're like, what is that and why do you have it? Go ahead and let me know, comment down below, and we'll try to get you the information that you so desperately desire. But yeah, I am actually very happy with the kit that I currently have. Like I said, I would probably trim down a little bit, maybe get a couple of different tools that maybe are a little bit more specific to our RVs. For instance, like I also somewhere in the rig also have everything I need to blow out the lines and all that, PEX lines and all that kind of stuff. Because I am so handy, because I do believe in being able to fix everything yourself, that's why I carry all this, and it's served us well so far. Like I said, if there's anything else you want to know about this or reasonings, etc. Otherwise, I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you again next week.